Hello witches. Today I am continuing my 2018 Pagan Challenge. M is for Mortar and Pestle. Now I have a little confession to make. I am a collector. I don't do hoarding. I love to purge and get stuff out. It's like cathartic for me. It makes me feel good. So I'm not a hoarder, but I do collect. And I collect lots of different kinds of things. And each collection varies in its intensity, I suppose. For instance, I collect crystals. That would be my largest collection. I collect herbs, I suppose. And I collect mortar and pestles. Now, I work with all of these things. I work with my crystals, I work with my herbs. So most of my collections are also functional. But yeah, I have a bit of a problem when it comes to mortar and pestles. I mean, I don't have nearly as many as I do crystals and herbs, but I have far too many as far as what is practical, what a human being needs in regards to mortar and pestles. But I love them. I adore them. I'm not really going to go into their history or any of that good jazz. I just kind of want to show my babies. So when the kids were little, and when I say little, I mean grade school age, we started them off with their own collections, their own crystals, their own even herbs and candles and things of that nature, which they can only use. I mean, once they were a certain age, they were given incense, things like that, and then they could only use them at our discretion until, again, they were at a certain age where we trusted them to use them alone. All the kids got mortar and pestle when they were in grade school. Now, my daughter got a nice little soapstone one because she was probably in about 5th grade at the time, but the boys were much younger, especially my son. He was probably in kindergarten or 1st grade. And so the boys got these little brass ones, and they're not the most functional. They're kind of like, it's not the nicest to use. It does make a nice little bell though. At any rate, my son still loves his crystals and incense, and he kept the candles as well, but has no desire to work with a mortar and pestle. So this came back into my custody, and it actually is just decorative at this point. It lives in the bathroom. Yeah. So that's that one. Then we have this wooden mortar and pestle. This was a gift that was given to me by the daughter of the woman I worked for at that metaphysical shop. Now, I personally love the aesthetics of a wooden mortar and pestle, but I don't really use them in my working because I'm hard on a mortar and pestle, as you will see. So this is also decorative. It lives by the front door. The next one is one of my favorites. It is an antique mortar and pestle, and you've heard me in the past talk about my friend who owns a witch shop that used to sell antiques. One year at the Pagan Pride we used to have in Raleigh, North Carolina, my boss lady was set up, so Compass Rose was set up. We were both there working, and the woman that owns the shop that used to sell antiques, which is called the Peddler and the Crow, was set up right next to us. So we were both there at the Pagan Pride selling our wares and right beside each other, and we're all good friends, so it was really fun. But my boss lady went over and bought this out of the Peddler and the Crow's booth that year and gave it to me for Yule. And I absolutely adore this mortar and pestle. Again, it's just decorative. I don't use wood mortar and pestles. I love to use it for staging pictures of my products and stuff like that, but I just love having it in my environment. It lives in here in the studio. And the last purely decorative mortar and pestle is this one. And it wasn't originally decorative at all. This was my husband's first mortar and pestle. But as you can see, he cracked the snot out of it. Like I said, we are hard on a mortar and pestle. So even the top of the pestle is broke. So he glued it back together, but was never fully confident in it, and ended up getting another one, a much nicer one. It's black, it's much deeper, and it it has a pentacle on either side of the outside of it. And he has another one, a brass one. I'm not showing his because they're not mine. I have enough of my own. But this was, again, was given to me, and it is mainly decorative. I may use the mortar part for spellcrafting, what have you, holding herbs, but it's no longer used as a functional mortar and pestle. It just sits in the studio looking pretty. This is my very first mortar and pestle I ever got. Was made in India, apparently. It's your typical, and you can tell it has been used. This is what I used to grind. Well, in the beginning, it's what I ground everything in. And then I got another one, another mortar and pestle, which I'm going to show in a little bit. And I started using this only for crushing stone, like kyanite, selenite, things of that nature. Tourmaline, which is a real pain, but I do it occasionally. And using the other one for herbs or resins or anything of that nature. So this one is pretty much just decorative at this point too, but that only happened very recently. I was still using this for stones until maybe a month and a half ago. This next one is the second mortar and pestle I ever bought. The only two I ever bought for myself, actually. I loved that it's so ornate. This one actually lives in the kitchen and I use it for cooking. So it's not for magical or decorative purposes. Okay. The third mortar and pestle I ever got was Big Mama. Big Mama was a gift, once again, from my boss lady that I used to work for at Compass Rose, that witchy metaphysical shop. You can see she's great, big, and that's why I call her Big Mama. And she is what I began using for everything other than stones when I was using this still. I have, actually my husband has actually broken the pestle. You can't really tell. There is a crack running right where my thumb is. But we glued her back together, and because of the way it broke, it's fine. It's never given me a problem. And it was an accident. He knocked it into it and it rolled off of a high surface and fell onto the floor and broke. But it's fine. It works beautifully. It's such a great tool. And you can see, I don't wash Big Mama at all. She is, to me, like cast iron. I wipe her out. Every bit of magic that has ever been worked in her, every herb blend, everything affects and seasons her and bleeds into everything that I do. And I have had Big Mama for probably, I want to say 8 years. Last but not least is the Mountain. Now, the Mountain just came into my possession probably about a month and a half ago, and it is what I bought it, well, I had my husband get it for me, purely for the purpose of working with stones and things of that nature. So right now I'm breaking down some terracotta. I love the way this fits in my hand. This is a traditional sort of Central American type mortar and pestle. It's got the little feet on the bottom, kind of like a cauldron, 3 little feet. I know it's hard to see. I'm sorry, guys. It's a rough mortar and pestle. You know, you're supposed to make guac in it, but nope. I work magic in it. I grind stones and things in it. And he is called the Mountain because the first time I had him in my hands, I was holding him and I couldn't get it out of my head. His name was Gregor. And anyone who is a fan of Game of Thrones will understand how I made the leap from Gregor to the Mountain. So he is the Mountain, and he is my newest mortar and pestle. I am sure I will collect more. I don't buy them every day or anything. It has taken me years to collect these. I love them. The cauldrons and mortar and pestles and crystals and herbs, and I just adore them. And I do kind of collect them. My cauldron collection is much smaller. I think I have 4 cauldrons. Maybe, well, no, I have more than that. Anyway, I'll show that one day, I suppose. But yeah, I have a problem, guys. But I'm not just running right out and buying them every day. It takes me years. It's taken me over 10 years to get to where I'm at with these babies. But that's part of my precious collection. I love mortar and pestles, as you can see. Thank you for allowing me to share my babies with you. And until next time, much love and gratitude.